If you're a parent caught in the chaos of youth sports, the pressure, the politics, the excitement, you're not alone. This is Be Valiant.
Welcome to another episode of Be Valiant. I'm your host, Todd Merkow, and the founder and CEO of Valiant Sports Society. I got a real special one here today, I got to tell you. It's so special. I was going to tell you this later, but I'm going to tell it to you now. I have a box of tissue on hand just in case, because I have one of my daughters, my youngest daughter, Sydney, who was a soccer player. She was a three-time Arizona High School State soccer champion, captain of her team her senior year. She's an ASU graduate with a degree in psychology, which is awesome, very proud of. She's now a full-time Pilates instructor, which is really fun. It's great taking her class. She's the little sister to Madison. She's the daughter to my wife, Lisa. But the reason why I'm having her on this podcast is because if I'm going to be honest, if I'm going to be transparent, I think it starts with my story and my kids' stories. And so Sydney has agreed to sit down. Her story goes beyond wins. It goes beyond the norm. She battled vocal cord dysfunction throughout her playing days. She had multiple concussions while playing soccer. She dealt with a broken ankle. So from an injury standpoint, a lot going on. She faced mental challenges along the way due to those injuries, a lot of stress, anxiety. There was a lot of toll on mental health that we all tried to deal with. She made the decision to walk away from soccer at the end of her high school years with the ability to go to college and play if she chose, but she chose to walk away, and we'll talk about that and the loss of identity that went along with it. There's a lot more in this interview. It's me as a dad hearing her and talking through this. Like I said, I got the tissues, and if we're ready to go, let's start. Welcome, Sydney.
Hello. Happy to be here.
Are you happy to be here?
I am, yeah.
I'm glad you are. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you decided to do this and talk about your story. The journey is awesome. First and foremost, for me, and I'm sure speaking for your mom, incredible. You know, it was always fun to travel through this with you. But the highs also were accompanied by lows, right? A lot of speed bumps along the way, a lot of speed bumps that, you know, I've acknowledged to this audience that I don't necessarily feel like I had the right answers to, which is part of why I've started Valiant Sports Society. But along the way, it's a journey. And how can we make this journey as positive for our kids as we can? And so I'm really happy that you're here talking about this today. It's kind of weird, right? We're having this conversation right now in front of cameras.
Yeah.
Well, you look great. You're going to sound great. So let's kick it off and start with just falling in love with sports in general. You know, what are your earliest, fondest memories of playing sports?
Earliest are probably just throwing on a cotton t-shirt, probably 7 strapped up shin guards and everything. Playing with Madison was probably my first, and I remember probably one of my first thoughts was, well, I got to be better than her at this.
Soccer or anything?
At soccer at the time, and I mean probably most other things, dance and whatever else we were in, but I think I succeeded with that with soccer a lot quicker than a lot of other things, and I think that was probably a little bit of an impact that made me want to stick with it. But then I also got the feeling of a freeing feeling almost of like liking something, being good at it, and feeling almost a power trip from a young age with it.
Yeah. And in fairness to your sister, she gave it up early.
No, but she was good.
She was good. She had a fierceness on the field that was like crazy, right? And in the backyard, for that matter, watching you two go. So what in those early days, do you have some joyful moments that you recall? I mean, specifically, or?
I mean, going back to the earliest times, I just, honestly, what I can remember is wanting to put my all without having a stress in the world and being able to just have a ball at my feet, run with it, have a smile on my face, and run off the field the same way at the end of the game. And truly have a good time with it, be with my friends. It's just like an after school activity that I've just enjoyed doing. It was fun and we were good at it. We would sing and dance on the field and have a good time, and then Dad would do the worm after, and it was a great day.
Now you're gonna have to explain that one. You can't just throw that one out.
Well, yeah, when we'd win a game, the title was pretty much to do the worm across the field, and I think it was just his...
The centipede for the older generational parents out there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was your doing every time, but we very much enjoyed that aspect of it.
So the way you're talking, you knew soccer was your sport because you were in a lot of different things and none of those grabbed you. You just kind of, I mean, it kind of felt for me as a parent and your mom, I think it was a natural progression, but it was definitely the road you wanted to be on, the road that you felt the greatest joy as you were playing.
Yeah, I mean, I liked a lot of things from young. I loved dance from a young age. I loved being on stage in front of people. I think I loved the attention of all that from a young age, but I feel like I got a lot of almost attention in that aspect as a soccer player at a young age and loving it and succeeding like that. Again, with no thought or anxiety in the world. It was just a kid, a ball, and a bed of grass, and it was everything. I just loved the feeling of it at my feet. I loved the feeling of it hitting the net at the time. I loved it crossing the cones. Like, that was enough. That's when I think I realized that was everything for me.
Yeah, well, it's too bad because you were a really cute dancer too. And you didn't stick with it, but anyway, so here's a specific question for you. Is there a place, specifically a place, like for me, there's a Little League field in Beverly Hills. Is there a place that you specifically think to when you think about that first time you fell in love with soccer?
I don't think of a place exactly. I couldn't tell you the names of the park even.
Well, it may even be the backyard. I mean, I don't know. Is there a place that takes you back when you're that little kid playing?
I think there's multiple. I think there's memories of being in the youngest tournament there could be and winning that one, or winning our first one against the boys we were also playing against at the time, a co-ed team, and like we were all girls and we still beat them. And there's just so many young memories like that of just playing across the street in the park, playing our backyard in the park, like just everything. And then building up to just the first moments in our backyard compared to my last moments in our backyard. I don't know. It's just, there's so many collectibles with it. There's no one spot that takes me back necessarily.
Okay, fair enough. So transition a little bit here, and let's talk about multi-sport for a minute, because as you know, at least coming out of all this, and I was probably felt this way in it, just because of my own experience and what I believe from a physical and probably a mental standpoint, that multi-sport athletes are important. You didn't really have that. You decided it was soccer. We went all in, and you were on that path. Now, in fairness, you did play beach volleyball along the way in high school. You tried softball, thank you very much, in middle
you're
school.
Welcome for that.
Which we can talk about.
Yeah.
But as far as multi-sport, focusing in on soccer as young as you did, now older Sydney looking back, would you have preferred to play more sports while you were growing? From the outcome of physicality, the outcome of your mental health, would you have preferred that?
I think at the time, I would say, what's the need? I need to be better. I could always be better at what I'm doing and what my end goal is. But I think looking back, for sure, could have definitely, and regret not playing more sports, for sure.
What would you have played?
I think I would have just tried out a bunch of different things. Our family was big on basketball. I'm tall, I get the question, volleyball or basketball every day. Neither. I didn't do either. I think I would have tried basketball. I think I would have tried volleyball. I think there was a sense of like Madison going into that, and once she left, I didn't want to follow in any realm with that. I mean, I did my one indoor season, had a blast, and then I did sand volleyball in high school and didn't play much with that. That was just more for, joining for Madison senior year, but it was still really fun, and I feel like I definitely could have seen a transition point maybe at any point. So I think those two mainly. I think looking back, if I were to hone down on something outside of a physical sport like that, I would say dance would be something I would go back to as well. And
really? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Huh. The basketball thing you touch on is interesting because I always felt that was a miss on our part. And I say that only because obviously in our house I was pushing softball if I could. And the only reason I was pushing softball for you all out there is because as a baseball player, it always amazed me. It amazed me that the genes of my athleticism came through in both of you. Your hand-eye was unbelievable. You could throw, and you could actually, and I like to tell the story, your middle school coach put you at shortstop. You had never played softball, and he started you at shortstop because you could do all three of those things. Now, it was a little different when you faced the club kids, and they were advanced and they were spinning the ball on you, unfortunately. But you could have been really good. But back to my basketball, the fact that we had a basket in the driveway of the house, you were always outside shooting, I feel like it was a miss because it wasn't fully recognized by us to say, hey, Sydney, let's put you in basketball. Like, it was the one sport you never really tried, even though you were always out in the driveway. Is that a miss for you, do you think?
Yeah, in a way. I mean, I think I've definitely looked back at it, and there was like a light bulb at one point where I was like, well, that's kind of like soccer with your hands, running up and down a court with the ball and dribble, shoot, score. Like, same thing, same concept, quick game. Like, yeah, and that's became my second game that I'd love to watch as a person. Like, soccer and basketball were my two. And volleyball, sand volleyball, those three, I would say.
Well, and I always thought it was funny. You played beach volleyball and brought your soccer skills to the game. There were a couple points in high school. I think you actually kicked the ball over the net and got a point.
I did.
Which is awesome. I love the beach volleyball side. All right, so let's transition. So now you're in it. You go play in 3 different levels of soccer. The rec level, which is the end-all be-all, I think, for just having fun, right? Then the club level, which still should be fun. And then you also played high school, as I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast.
Still should be fun.
Yeah. So talk about, the comparison of those experiences for you. Where were the greatest joys? Where were the greatest stresses? Kind of give us a comparison on those 3 elements, 3 levels.
I mean, level 1, rec. It was all joy. Like, I don't think there was ever a time where I went home crying about I played bad or coach, whoever's dad said something to me. Like, it was never like that. It was just sunshine and rainbows and being good at what you do and enjoying it. And then I think it got to a point with rec, with knowing there was a next level to it of going to club and then wanting to be at a good club after that, but also wanting to be with my friends. And I think the first club was Blackhawks that I ended up doing.
Yeah.
That was so fun. I mean, I had a great time with that. I remember like one of my first few practices just juggling and just remembering and knowing like I want to be able to juggle. Like I want to be able to keep the ball off the ground. Like that's a cool concept in my head. Like, and that's as simple as that. And I would just go to the next practice and look around and make sure I could get maybe one more juggle than the person next to me. And it started to become a little bit more of a competition as we, just in like things like that, slowly going into club. But I mean, the demeanor changed. You weren't being coached by a dad anymore. You weren't being coached by X, Y, and Z. Now you had this random adult that was telling you, this is soccer, actually, like, let's learn it. So it was cool. And then it started to become a little bit more competitive and obviously growing in the competitive side of it. It got more and more progress with competitiveness. But I mean, I remember even after that, Desert Elite, like, that was also a really good time, I remember. And that's when I started to make some new best friends in my life. And like, that's when I feel like it started to fully develop. And then we switched again. And then that became, I think, when I first really saw the competitive side of everything. And that's when I think I first felt everything, heartbreak, proud of myself, everything in that regard. So I think going into club, it was a lot of navigating and figuring out a lot of stuff, but then coming to terms with it was going to be a serious thing. And if I was going to play this, then it was going to be competitive, and I needed to put my head down and I need to lock in.
Let me stop you for a minute, because it's interesting in the club world, what you're bringing up from Desert Elite to move from Blackhawks to Desert Elite and then Desert Elite into another club. Blackhawks was following a coach, if you remember. it was the coach you had. He moved over to Desert Elite, which is a big part of the reason why we went over there. And you're right, the environment was good. He was a good coach. He could be tough on the younger kids, I think, at times, but he seemed to keep it fun. Would that be accurate for that coach, would you say?
Team.
Huh?
Team.
Yeah.
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 I think that was a great start. I think if I would have had a different coach that I may have had down the line not too far after if I had that at the very start, I don't think I would have played soccer. I don't think I would have stayed with soccer. I think he had a big impact on wanting me to pursue club so much.
So do you think, in the scheme of it all, maybe we left? I say we because it really was, I don't know if it was your decision at that time at your age. There were some friends that left that team, and you left with those friends. Would you have preferred to stay in that environment, all things you know today, and play there, or continue on the journey that was set down? I mean, it is what it is, but...
It's a good question. I've never actually thought of it.
Well, that's why I'm here for you today.
I know. Thank you. Thank you. No, I think I'm happy with that decision at the end of the day. I mean, who knows what could have happened, vice versa. I think there would have been outs and ins in every direction I would have taken at that point. But yeah, I think I'm happy with it. I don't think I was following necessarily just to stick with them. I think I also knew, experiencing the next club, that it was going to be another level. And I think I was also ready to kind of keep progressing and keep going and move on with them. And obviously there was separation with them at the time with that, but it was also an itch to keep growing and move up from there.
Yeah. So do you feel that in these times of change that you're describing, these are your decisions, our decisions, my decision, mom's decision, parents' decision, a collective decision, your decision? How did you feel what was going on in there? And the reason why I ask this is, again, some of what we're talking about here today, I don't know if we've ever talked about, but that change in particular from Desert Elite, that change was, as a parent for me, I believe there was your desire to want to be with your friends on that other team. It was a better team, and it was a team that, quote, won more, which, looking back for me, is so less important in the equation of it all, right? But I got caught up in that too. So doing what's best for your daughter in this case and what they want, you end up making those moves and those decisions based on that. Would you feel like it was a we decision, a you decision, or a me decision?
I think it was a we, more of a me, if anything, because I was following my friends more towards anything at the end of the day. But yeah, I think every decision following was more of a me decision. I think I knew that I was allowed to do what I wanted to do and that you guys would support it, but I think it was definitely a we decision. I don't think it was a you guys decision for sure.
Okay, well, that's fair. And I'd like to hope that's how you felt, because I don't think we ever forced you into situations that you didn't want to be in. I don't think, but again, we're here on Be Valiant for you to be honest and tell me tissue box is ready. So it's probably more for me than it is for you. So as you're going down this road and it's you making these decisions, where in all of this do you realize I'm really good at this? Like, when does that moment occur to you?
I mean, honestly, I think an ego was shot from the top, naturally, going into it. And I think leaving Desert Elite, I had that ego, and then I kind of was shot down when I got on the B team. And all my friends were on the A team. And I think from there, it was like a big light bulb of like, all right, now I need to show and I need to prove and I need to be the best on this one. And I think, I mean, looking back at a lot of it, I think this is where a lot of it kind of started.
Started?
A lot of maybe like battles that I faced through sports. I think this is probably when I first started to feel anything like that.
Okay. Well, we'll come back to that. I definitely want to address that. Let's go as we're entering now in here. Let's talk about mom and me, however we want to frame this up. I don't think mom should be not included because there's a lot of great mom brought to the table, right? And parents in general. I guess what I would ask you here is, how would you describe how mom and me were sports parents for you? And again, critical, because that's who's hopefully listening today, right?
I mean, overall, I think you guys were both very supportive. Like, there was the question of, like, I remember even doing all my away games, and the ones that you guys wouldn't be to, it would be like, are you sure it's okay? Like, if we're not there? And I'm like, heck yeah, like, I'm going to play better. Like, I played most of my games. I think most people on the team played their best games when no one was around. But no, I think you guys were very supportive and actually listened to what I wanted at the end of the day. I think you were there to push me in other ways, and maybe I didn't like some stuff you said or did at times, but,
So I actually didn't put this in my notes, and I think it's a really good question to ask you, because I think there's a lot of people out there. And the reason why I also think it's very good, I didn't grow up with my parents on the sidelines. That did not happen. So everything I was doing with you and Madison was completely different. Partly a void of not having my parents on the side. Actually, I shouldn't even say that, because Grandma, my mother, would come to games when she could come to games. She was supportive. I don't want it framed up anything other than that, right? But when you say you played better without us on the sidelines, would you have preferred to play the majority of your games without your parents on the sidelines? And that's not a selfish question, by the way. It's possibly selfish of me to say, we're going to be on the sidelines of every one of your games, right?
I mean, I think I maybe would have had a couple more better games.
Okay. I mean, that's fair.
Not in like a bad way. I think that's even speaking off just my own mental, like knowing that, or even like being able to be like, get on the bus at the end of the day and call you guys and be like, I scored, or like, there was something exciting about that. There was something that I knew that I just like, I was in front of everyone else's parents on the other team, on away teams, and that was it. I didn't know them. And around everyone else's parents, you can kind of see that, I mean, in the league we were in at the time too, it was like, they were loud enough, and I don't know, looking now I'm just like 87 different directions. I'm like, well, now how are they playing with their parents there? And maybe we beat them because of that. Like, gosh, there's just so much that could go into it, but no, I don't think overall I wouldn't want you at games.
Yeah,
I think it was more of I was out of my head a little bit more.
But the question is, and I think again for parents listening, in your case, it's fair to say, if we didn't go to a game, it was okay. And actually, it might be exciting, because then you didn't have the pressure of feeling like, what are they seeing? Yeah. Now, that being said, just to be clear for those that are listening, what is the reason that you would prefer us not to be on the sidelines? Now, I'm going to be sitting on the edge of my seat on how you answer this, because I don't know if it was something I did, but what is there, and it's fair if there is there a reason why, or is it just the general concept of having your parents there and then not having to worry about that audience in that game?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's part of a general reason with it of not having your parents there, but then there's also, they talk. People are looking over a lot of the time in the game. They're looking to see whose parents talking to whose parents, who's talking about what. They're probably talking about me. It's literally like kids are growing up and thinking everyone's talking about them also in that aspect. Like, people would look over a lot. I would remember when I would take kicks, you would be on the corner. You would be off camera right there, and I would be thinking about a lot of things. I would be thinking about my hands. I used to run. Like, yeah, you would get in your head a lot. Just knowing, like, there's this world inside the box, and then there's this world right outside the box. And you can hear through the glass doors, and you can see through the glass doors, and that's different than not having anyone else around. When we play scrimmage games against each other, I think both teams would play their best because not as many parents would be there, or anyone for that matter.
Yeah. This is fascinating to me because, and again, for those listening at home, I want to set this kind of table because I, as a parent, got off the sidelines of the parents fairly early in your career. And I did it on purpose for two reasons. One, I'm a photographer, so I decided I wanted to shoot But by being a photographer, it allowed me to get off the parent sideline and roam free around the field. Now, I didn't even realize I may have been affecting you because I might have been somewhere you were taking a corner kick from. That thought never even occurred to me because I wasn't talking to you. I can't say I never did because I know I did in a couple of situations, which was stupid. But I was off the sidelines to keep my mouth shut. Because if I got caught saying anything anywhere, which happened once in Chicago, God, I'm still embarrassed by that, at an ECNL event, I would get thrown out. So the context of this is I was not on those sidelines. I removed myself from there. But this idea that you guys are looking over there at whose parents are talking to whose and what those conversations might be is fascinating. Really.
Yeah.
And you guys talked about this.
I mean, not necessarily like a ton, maybe like every now and then, but I can guarantee it's...
But it was identified.
Yeah, it was identified for sure. What? If you were next to a parent who was talking a lot, you know they're screaming something on the field and then turning and saying something about them or something about this. We know how it rolls.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, it's just kind of like, what are they saying now? What are they... Yeah, it's questionable.
Well, it is questionable, and I want to get to this more towards the end of this segment, but let's address it. Again, having removed myself from the sidelines certainly did not remove me from the entire environment altogether of being a sports parent. Being in that environment, now as an adult, looking back, you're talking about the sidelines, as much travel as we did, and the lobby conversations, and the dinner conversations when everybody was together, and everything that went along with it, what kind of impact did that have on you and your teammates listening to some of the stuff that was, I mean, there was good stuff, but there was definitely other stuff that shouldn't have been talked about being talked about. How did that stuff affect you and your teammates? Was it loud to you? Well, just talking about, you know, the weekend or the coach or the club or the whatever the dynamic was, right? Everybody's got something to complain about. And it always was around. Was that noise loud to you at all? Did you pick up on it? It was obviously impactful, thinking that parents were talking to parents about certain things on the sideline, but the rest of it, did that not affect you?
I feel like it's hard to say now. I mean, are you just talking about kind of like us just like seeing?
Yeah, what you as players observe and hear. That environment, the noise that's around it all in sports parenting.
Walking with some of my teammates in hotels and seeing when we'd be at like ECNL events or something like that and seeing other teams that were also staying at the hotel and we may have just gotten out of a van or a carpool and, you know, someone in the car got a little bit of a harsh talking to or anything like that. And then we get out and we see, example, a Blues player walk in with their dad and watch them just get ripped into, essentially. And we'll just look at each other and be like, all right, at least we're not that. Like, yeah, there's a lot of different scenarios that went around in that way. But then there was also, like, I remember walking by someone at one point and the kid was crying. The dad was not as much freaking out, but it was kind of just like, there's another day tomorrow, point to it. Like, that's really, if that was said so much more than you messed up rather than there's another day tomorrow. Yeah. I think there would be a whole different surrounding aspect to it. But yeah, I don't think I only heard that once. And then everything else looking around was a lot of negative light to it.
You only heard that once from the outside.
Outside looking around.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. More positivity, right, in the culture. I don't think parents realize fully, and we saw a lot of it. I saw a lot of it just from where I was sitting on what they were bringing to the field that was just so unnecessary. It wasn't about them. It was about you guys and what you were doing on the field. So talk a little bit about, you mentioned about how Mom and I parented you, sports parented you, but talk about the culture at home. And we never talked a lot about this, in fairness, but it's something that with Valiant Sports Society and Be Valiant trying to talk about culture more, having more of a culture mindset of what it is you want to accomplish, what your kid wants to accomplish, and what is the environment you're setting at home, and then subsequently, how is that culture match up with a club culture, a coach's team culture, and so on and so forth, so that the pieces start to interconnect better than probably the way we did it, right? Just overall. But from a standpoint of what you grew up in the house, how is our culture for you for sports in general in Madison? Positive environment, negative environment, supportive, not supportive?
Positive and supportive for sure. It wasn't negative. I've never viewed it as like a negative household. If anything, it's been little features that might have been like a sprinkle too much at the end of the day. Looking back, at the time, would have never plugged it in together. I liked it. Like, I don't think that was like a do bad of any sort. I think it's a look back and like maybe do better in sorts, but it's not anything that I would in the moment. Yeah. I think there were times, I don't know. I mean, I remember like we used to watch like film a lot together and like just stuff like that even. And
well, was that even productive?
No.
Right. No, that's fair.
Not really, no.
Yeah.
I mean, you feel productive doing it and it feels like an accomplishment. You know, someone else on the team's probably not doing this. So I feel like I'm, working for something and doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But no, I don't think it needed to happen at the end of the day, for sure. I think you knew what felt good and you knew what felt bad, and you just weighed more down on the bad stuff on yourself, and it didn't help watching it.
Yeah.
Because no matter how many good moments I would watch on the screen, I'd only pick out the bad.
What about the car rides? Leaving practice, leaving games. I know I wasn't perfect. I know it. And I'm ashamed of some of our car rides early on in particular. I should have never had some comments that I did. And the one thing you're going to laugh when I tell you this is I thought it was funny. It was dad joke funny, and it probably wasn't even funny to you. There was a moment on one of your club teams that you were playing defense, and holding the line, so to speak, was not happening a lot, right? And Toto was one of my favorite bands growing up, and I kept playing Hold the Line for You. And I remember vividly playing it out the car while you were actually on the field. Yeah, I do too. And I apologize. But tell me about the car rides and negative times, positive times. I mean, what are those? What's the car ride mean to you today?
I hated the car rides. I hated the car rides more than anything in the world. And not just because of you guys. Like, I think that's when I would finally sit down and be with just myself in a way with everyone else and try to connect dots that I don't even know how I was trying to connect them. And then I was nervous, obviously, what you guys had to say, or like if you guys had nothing to say, that was an energy shift also. And that made me more in my head and freaked me out. And I don't know. I remember the question why being asked a lot. Why didn't you pass it? Why didn't you shoot it? Why this? Why that? I don't know. I don't know is all that could run through my head. And that stacked up really, really quick. I don't know.
And by the way, admittedly, it's stupid. Absolutely stupid to be asking you those questions. I guess if we're going to have a session, it's going to be an apology session. But I apologize because, as you get older and you start to realize things, I mean, those moments make me cringe. They make me cringe. And I don't know if it, was that way all the way through your career. It might have been, and it's not fair. So yeah, to hear you say that. So rewinding it back, positive only, no negative, don't ask about play, let it settle down. And as some are saying today, just go have an ice cream cone with your kid. That would have been the best route.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there should be immediate talk after a game ever.
Yeah.
Ever. That's the most heightened you are at the end of it. You have no idea what the coach had just said to us.
Right.
And it probably wasn't good. If we were walking out of a bad game, it probably was not good.
Yeah.
So to have that shot at you, and then, I mean, who knows if you got a direct shot from the coach? Probably. And then you walk off and then you go to your family and then they have a whole nother lesson to tell you, which most people went through. Most people on the team would, that's what happened with every single person. But, I mean, you guys don't know to an extent of what they're telling us or what's going on. So it's like, sure, get it off. You guys are coach on the sideline, essentially.
Yeah. Well, and again, looking back, not to make an excuse, there wasn't a parent plan, right? You just kind of went in it and you did it. And I think for us in particular, how you progressed through soccer, you know, one of the things you've heard me say a lot is there was a moment in time you're playing competitive soccer, and as a parent, I'm going, what is going on here? Like, what are we in the middle of now, right? I think I've said this to you, but it literally is like, what has happened? It's all elevated, right? And in a way that is almost out of control to you as a parent, and trying to do the right things for your kids and feeling the emotions and all that stuff. It's a very challenging situation. And again, the hope here is that hopefully someone's listening to you and the car ride home for their kids better this weekend, right? That's the goal. So let's shift this. Let's go into coaches. Favorite subject. Let's talk about overall impact, the positive, the negative of the coaches that you played for. I mean, what do you remember, you know, the good and the bad over the years? What are your biggest takeaways?
One thing that I think always stood out was Joe. I remember that was the transition from club, and that was not an easy choice on everyone, like we were just talking about the other day. I didn't want to do it at all. It was different. It was scared. Yeah. I didn't want to leave. I didn't, you know, but there was also so much that had happened at this past club, like so much that, you know, what do you have to lose at that point, genuinely? So it was scary, good and bad, but I remember talking to him for the first time and just talking to him. I remember our whole family was in that conversation. We all walked off and said, wow, that's a good guy. That's a good coach. That's someone who cares about you. And that locked us in, like genuinely from the start. And that was something we hadn't even experienced yet. And by this point, we were what, 14? Maybe?
Yeah.
14?
You were just starting your ECNL years.
Yeah.
Is what it was.
Yeah, it was.
And what you may not...
It was being a part of a new team that was coming all together at this point.
Yeah.
Versus a team that had been together for years now. And yeah, making the decision to kind of stay there and go to this other fully new team. Yeah. Pulling in so many different players.
I think it's fair to say who it is, because it was, for you to say it was a positive experience, for me, it was one of the most positive experiences in your whole journey. Joe Owen, who's now, I believe, if he's still there at the Mustangs in Northern California. We had a great conversation collectively, but your mom and I had a sit down with him that I walked away from blown away. Like what you heard, he took it to the parent level, and the way as the director of girls soccer, I think he was director of the club or director of girls soccer, I don't remember, but he was definitely over the girls, along being your coach. So a lot of what was going into play in that move was the theory, the culture of what that club was going to all be about. And he connected the dots. He said first what ECNL was about. And ECNL, which I've always had a great respect for, ECNL was about moving girls on to the next level. Did not say move them on to D1. Move them on to the next level. It could have been JUCO, NAIA, Division 3, 2, or 1. It didn't matter. But also to get a great education. And Joe's philosophy was, where does she want to go? What does she want to be? He was the only coach at that point who ever asked, has she thought about what she wants to be? What do you want to study, right? Like there's now this connection point of putting two and two together. And aside from the management side, the executive director side, he was an incredible coach. I mean, his demeanor with you guys, from what I could tell, it just seemed amazing. So keep going on. I didn't mean to interrupt, but he deserves big props, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that was like a pivotal point at one point that, like, I think I'll remember. I don't think, you know, take a lot of other coaches in my life, if they were the one at that point, at that club, I don't know what decision I would have made, but I remember walking away feeling very secure and very, like, I haven't experienced this before and I'm ready to experience this.
Yeah.
And it was I remember the first couple of practices, I was like, well, we'll see how this goes. Like, I don't know. And then the people that are in my life still are those people in that first year. The people, like, just everything about that year was just probably like one of the best ones. And just so many good things came out of it that overrid the bad. And I think there was a lot of eye-opening times in that. need to go completely into all that, but I think that
Is
was
there
just
one
like
you can highlight?
I think it was more of just like bringing the joy back into it in a sense. Like everyone, there was no alpha on the team because we all just came in and it was kind of collective. There was a force on getting to know each other, getting to be teammates, getting to be sisters, getting to know, keep that all under rec, and then playing the game that we're all here to do. The one thing we all have in common, let's share that, let's get to know each other, and then let's accomplish something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we had a great streak that year, but that was definitely one of the more fun ones, I would say.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, that's what it all should be about, right? I mean, that should not get lost.
Yeah.
And finding that coach and or club that has that culture, I think is highly critical. And look, I think part of that is it shifted when Joe left after a few years. It didn't shift terribly. I don't think it shifted to it didn't shift until your final year into a place that I thought it was not good for you, where the culture shifted and the fit wasn't right anymore, right? And I think at that point, parents really understanding in their gut what's right for their kids and knowing it's time to go. And I think it's important. I want to come back to a moment at the end of that club period, and we'll talk about that culture shift. But let's talk about more about coaching, but coaching styles. I mean, which ones do you remember, that you played better for? Which ones did you really not play well for at all? Were there any that just kind of preached fun along the way or some form of it? It didn't have to directly say, we're going to have fun today, but you could tell it was part of their plan to make sure you guys enjoyed the game. Joe sounded like maybe he was that guy. Who else? I mean, anybody, I know not by names, but just who else along the way? But what do you remember?
I mean, there was one coach that was, people would say, like, very crazy, but at the same time had, like, the biggest heart, I feel like, on him. I don't even know if you know who I'm talking about, but
I may, but
he was within those years after, and I remember there were times where I was so afraid to talk to him, but then when I would, it was like, I love you, kid. Like, there was...
I know, yeah, I know what you're
yeah,
talking about.
and there was up and downs for sure, but, like, looking back even, like, I don't know, there were times where I was actually able to talk to a coach and, like, sit there and be a human being with him, and, like, there was a lot. There was times where it was serious on the field, and it was whatever, that's going to be at every point, at every person, but there was points where it was also, when we were playing a good game as a team, like, it was jokes. Like, you could hear him joking out into the field to us, too, and it was fun. We'd all be laughing and smiling and having fun. So, honestly, I know he was someone indifferent in a lot of people's eyes, but he was something that I think I'll forever remember, too.
Yeah, and speaking of him, and if he's listening, he knows who he is. I mean, it starts with, I love you, kid. He coached with love.
I know. That
right?
was like, that like just tells you who it is.
Yeah, and so...
But he does coach with love, yeah.
He coaches with love, and so when you bring that type of equity to the player in that form, it's okay to be tough because you have equity built up to be able to use it. And he was a tough coach, but he knew his stuff too. He knew. He did. He definitely had,
and I genuinely believe
like
that was, yeah, you can be hard, you can do X, Y, and Z, but if I were to come to him at the end of the day, this day and age, and say, hey, coach, I'm not having a good mental day today, I know that he would put a hand on my shoulder and say, just watch. Just like, I feel like he would be like one of those people that would handle it really well. And that's why I have a lot of respect for him.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, there's a lot about coaches, but let's turn the page and move on because we got a lot more in front of us. Let's talk about some of the downside that you had to deal with. I can't believe the amount of stuff you had to deal with. You broke your ankle very early, I think. You were early in your career. Multiple concussions. And the most scary thing of them all, as if the concussions are not scary enough, watching you not be able to breathe on the field, which we were unable as parents to get you the type of diagnosis to deal with it quickly, inevitably being diagnosed with vocal cord dysfunction. For parents who don't know what vocal cord dysfunction is, it's a stress on your vocal cords, and essentially it can be mentally driven. There's other ways it can be induced, but essentially...
The flap flares up in your vocal cords, which closes down your airways, not being able to get air in, just being able to breathe it out.
Yeah, and you literally were fighting for air on the field. And to watch that as a parent, and again, how do you deal with this as a parent? Because we put you out on the field time and time again, because it didn't always happen. At one point, I think it did happen almost every game, but it didn't always happen. So you didn't know if it was coming or not. So it wasn't as if we could say, no, you're not playing soccer anymore. And I don't think that would have gone well with you anyway. And then you learned how to deal with it. So talk about all three of those things and really what it meant, throughout your career and subsequently your mental health.
Well, I think for vocal cord dysfunction, obviously not knowing what it was for years was frustrating, difficult, something I would question if I'd want to push past anymore. Because it was like we're doing our training during the summer going into your new season every year in a club. During this training, you're doing 5-mile tests, beep tests, like everything in the books in 110 degrees weather. Naturally, other people are going to pass out too, whatever, and you can call it out of shape, but that's what was happening a lot of the time with it. It was being called out of shape by the coaches. And that was really frustrating because I was outside, I was putting in my time, I was making sure that I wasn't out of shape. I wasn't giving them the excuse, but then I would put in all this work and do X, Y, and Z during the summer on off days, whatever, and then come back to play like a first game or anything and just to pass out or just to be told I'm out of shape, essentially, when it was just not that whatsoever, was incredibly frustrating. Because how do you prove that when you don't have a proof? I remember people that were even diagnosed with asthma at the time, still coaches dangled that above their head like it was some sort of excuse, or which it is, like, crazy enough. So I don't know. I mean, I guess when I had the answers, it was very different knowing vocal cord dysfunction, and I had not known anyone else at the time that had that, until I met Alex, and that was also a moment I won't forget. But no one else had it, and coaches didn't know what it was even, so it was kind of just like, again, not being heard to any extent, and I still couldn't fully understand, and I was doing breathing therapy at the time. I was doing a bunch of different stuff, and it's still... certain things triggered it. Stress triggered it. That was one of the things. Anything with stress is going to close up your... We've seen many attacks with that at points. And I think if you're already in an induced situation, 110 degrees heat, who knows what's happening surrounding? A coach is yelling at you, people on the sideline, X, Y, and Z. You just went into a hard tackle. You're freaking out because you just hit your head again.
Anything could trigger it.
Anything could happen.
Right.
Anything can trigger it, yeah. And essentially, once it starts, you can't stop it. So you're either passing out or you're getting pulled off the field and, like, trying to cool off. But, yeah, it was frustrating. It was scary. It was a sense of I just didn't know what was wrong with me. Was I out of shape? Why am I closing up? Like, is this solely anxiety? No. We don't get anxiety. Like, that's not a thing. That's nothing we grasped onto. That was definitely frustrating. But it was also the fact I remember when I was diagnosed and I got an inhaler or whatever I got for asthma or something at the time, and I did not want to use it because I didn't want to show a weakness on the side. I wouldn't use it before games. I wouldn't use it before practice. If I did, my head was in my backpack on the sidelines using it. I was told to belly breathe. I was scared to belly breathe before trainings because I was laying there outside. Eventually, I warmed up to it, and I would do it, but I was nervous to do those therapeutic tactics to help me at all because it showed weakness in a sense.
Because the coaches gave you that belief, or you felt that way?
I think coaches definitely had to play with it for sure. I saw how they treated other people with asthma and anything like that. So I didn't want a weakness. I didn't want another excuse not to see the field. I didn't want anything dangled over me. So that's that in a nutshell. Ankles. I feel like that was a repetitive fight. Just constantly pulling off my socks and they're, internally bleeding.
And the concussions were difficult.
Concussions were difficult, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because it just got to an extent where it was, I remember it was like going back to back. It was a constant recovery and then knocked right back down and then recovery and knocked right back down. That was one of the worst years of my life. That was one of the worst years of my life. I wanted to stop at that point. I thought there was no returning after that. And then I remember doctors had told me one more and you're done. And hearing that, I think is what really sent me over the edge. And that's when I started to get scared to go into more tackles and scared to really.
As a parent, I could feel that too when that diagnosis came. I mean, I could feel it for you. I could feel it.
Yeah, I don't think I could have heard that. I don't think I could have handled hearing that. So I remember getting a concussion and working out at Exos before, and one of the trainers came up to me and he said, what's going on? Are you okay? And he pulled me to the side. And he said, what's going on? And I said, nothing. I had a concussion and I hid it from them at the time which is terrible. But I didn't want to hear that I had another concussion. I didn't want to sit out. I didn't want to have to go through recovery again. That was an incredibly crazy mental process. But, they figured it out somehow. And I got tested and sure enough, had another concussion. I was out, and it was just, those were the worst. I always said I would rather break an arm, break a leg than have a concussion. That was mind-boggling. And that is something that was way more serious. So I think that one played with me the most, for sure.
Yeah, I think the head injuries, the mental health side, as a parent, oh my gosh, those were the most difficult things to manage with you, and Madison for that matter, but so difficult because oftentimes vocal cord dysfunction, not that it had effect mentally, but we certainly didn't think you were out of shape because we knew the work you were doing. But if it got too hot, was that the reason? Was it allergy induced based on the trees that were blooming at the time? Like, we had no answers, right? And so as frustrating as it was for you, for us to try to help you to figure it out was equally, or if not greater, in frustration. So let's evolve this into the mental health side and talk about, how your mental health was throughout all this, and how you dealt with mental health, because there were times that I could feel it. You were, I don't know if it's fair to say you were directly talking about it, but you could feel something was going on. And I know I tried to find you a couple of sports psychologists. There was one that you spoke with. We didn't go enough, but talk about where you kind of were going mentally. You've touched on it, but give us a little bit more.
Yeah, it was terrible. I remember that specific year of high school where I was just back to back getting concussions, and it was terrible. I have my journal entries written back to that time. Nobody understands me. No one understands this, Y, Z. Can't play in this game. I remember a coach at the time called me concussion kid. That screwed with me a lot because it was like, you don't understand. You have no idea what is going on in my head, and you're going to call me concussion kid when, I'm maybe known for having concussions a lot, but I'm one away from not being able to play what I love anymore. So just even that kind of stuff would mess with you a lot or anything. I'll never forget that, actually. I remember Allison at the time was a good outlet for me.
What was?
Allison.
Uh-huh.
I remember she was a good outlet. I remember she had dealt with stuff. She always wore her headgear and stuff. But she was a really nice person to be able to talk to about all this. I'm getting off topic. I totally forgot where I was even going with this. What was the main question?
That's right. We were talking about your mental health and
overall at that time. Yeah, trash.
Just playing. So how did you find yourself? I mean, you really couldn't find answers through it, and it wasn't until after you stopped playing, and even then struggled with identity loss because you weren't playing anymore. What got you through to the other end of feeling mentally healthy?
Now, or?
Yeah, whenever that moment is. I know it's, a constant work for everybody, but...
I don't think I was mentally healthy until now. Genuinely. I don't think I reached a point playing at the end where I was mentally strong. I think, switching clubs my senior year, I think that was a mental challenge, and I grew mentally stronger from that. But I don't think I was mentally stronger than what actually needed to be strong at the time till I stopped, for sure. Till I could actually sit down, look at it, and say, that was all messed up. That wasn't me. I had a right to feel a certain way, and I wasn't crazy, and that's okay.
Yeah. So how much, again, coping through this and getting the answers, getting your degree in psychology from Arizona State University, I know you were doing a lot more than just that, and now you're a Pilates instructor where it's mind, body, and soul. I mean, where did all of this recovery come from? What really helped you?
I mean, I did therapy for like 5 years. Didn't want to do it. Something that was, again, didn't want to look weak. You grew up with this like weak standard of like, you just had to be strong on your own. You had to be tough. And the people that were strong on their own and tough on their own were the starters, were the people that were looked into this like, go talk to her, she knows.
And this is coming from peer pressure you're referring to. Because this, I don't think, and you can
No,
answer
this
however
isn't
you
family
want.
related.
Yeah, it's not coming from home.
No, this is
so
all.
everybody knows.
No, yeah, this is all the surrounding aspects of what it's just made to be. I will never, ever, ever forget stopping playing. And that I'll never forget even just having that conversation and telling you guys that I was not going to play in college and then going off after that and the highs, the lows, and everything in between. So many thoughts and then completely losing myself after that.
Well, and identity loss is real.
Yeah.
Like, and again, going into your end of soccer, your competitive end, we as parents didn't even know what identity loss was. We've since heard of identity loss to a degree with Olympians. I would go farther than that and say any kid in the club culture that's playing at this high intensity level week by week by week, when they walk away, they're walking away from a serious loss of friends, relationships, their activities that their body was used to doing over and over and over. I mean, it's a real thing, and it was a real thing for you.
It's a very real thing, and I think when I first stopped, I kind of saw that as like, kind of BS in a way, because everyone I knew was off at college playing. I was the only one that didn't go play in college. And I know I sat with that for a while on whether I messed up or not, or X, Y, and Z. I think COVID in a way, because everyone was forced to stop playing, and I was right back with them then. And then right from there, a lot of people stopped playing. And I felt more comforted, and I was like, all right, well, cool. People are now transferring back to the schools I'm going to and everything, and they're doing good, and they look good on Instagram and X, Y, and Z, and like, okay, maybe we can grow up now. Maybe we can move on. Maybe we can figure out who we are without this devil on our shoulder on each side telling you what to do or why you're not the best, or, like, I remember sitting down with you guys and saying, I want to go to college because I want to do things I haven't done. I want to learn how to play guitar again. I want to put my time into something I've never done. Like, it was always a crime being able to, well, Sydney, you didn't do good in that game because you did this that day before. Well, God forbid you take time for yourself in any other way that wasn't soccer. Like, that's what it felt like at the time. And I just felt like I needed to escape that. I felt way too much pressure. I felt way too much weighing on me. And I couldn't be what anyone else wanted me to be at that time. I didn't even know what I wanted to be at that time.
And so have you figured it out?
In a way, yeah.
Well, no, that's good.
Yeah,
in a way.
In a way.
You don't have to, nobody ever has it. I'm still trying to figure it out
No,
for me.
I mean, I'm not, in a way, I figured out the kind of person I want to be. Yeah.
Well, that's good.
And who I can actually see myself as a human being.
Yeah.
And that's all that matters.
Okay. All right, well, you won't believe this, but we're almost at an hour. It goes fast. So I'm going to come at you with some rapid fire to kind of bring this to a conclusion. So you can give me some one words and then give me some short answers, but we're going to go through rapid fire. What's your go-to pump-up song before a game? I'm sure it changed over the years, but what was the main one? Love Bug by the Jonas Brothers?
Definitely not. Probably a lot of Eminem for sure. Lose Yourself.
Yeah. That's a good one.
I still have all my playlists. I don't even know. Look at Me Now. That was, for some reason, one of them.
By who?
I don't know. I don't even know.
All right.
Eminem was a lot of. There was a lot of Eminem.
Good one. If you could instantly master any other sport, what would it be? Or anything else. Doesn't have to be a sport. If you can instantly master anything, what would it be?
It would be dance.
Dance. Okay. It's not too late.
Yeah.
I could be a dance parent.
I get like kind of the dance-esque out of Pilates sometimes.
Okay. I can be a dance parent, by the way. Okay. We can do it again. Greatest accomplishments, most proudest moments. What comes to mind real quick? Anything.
Greatest accomplishments in soccer?
Yeah, or that came from it. This was supposed to be rapid fire, by the way.
Yeah, well, that was not a rapid fire question. Greatest accomplishments? I don't know.
All right, we'll come back.
I don't know.
We'll come back. The clock is ticking. One or two memories that still make you smile when you think about them. The little ones. What are some of them? Anything?
I mean, travel trips were always nights with the girls, like stuff like that. Travel trips with you guys, always. Like Oregon trip was a trip that I'll always remember. The whole family was on.
Yeah. Okay. One word to describe your soccer career and one for your journey. I think they're probably, unless they're the same word. One just to describe your soccer career and one to describe the overall journey.
Unforgettable.
All right, think about it. If it comes back, one lesson from soccer you still use every day. What's one thing that sticks with you every day?
I mean, if you want it, go get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Advice to younger Sydney with your knowledge, with your psychology degree and everything else.
Oh my gosh, don't care so much. Like actually don't care so much. Who cares if you win? Who cares if you lose? Who cares if they like you? Who cares if they don't? Who cares, honestly, if you get hurt in a tackle? You won't get hurt as long as you're not thinking about it as much. Like, Genuinely, who cares so much?
Yeah. And for mom and dad,
have fun.
Same advice? Or something different? Older Sydney to mom and dad as their parents to younger Sydney?
Not too much, honestly.
Nothing? This is
yeah,
rapid fire.
I think it was just who cares mentality all around.
Huh?
Who cares mentality all around.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
If I were to go down my own road, then who cares? Another day tomorrow. That was just the whole motto that should have had.
All right. If you were a coach today, which you are kind of, right?
I am.
What's your coaching style?
I get to know my clients. I get to know what they like within their own bodies and minds, and that's that. I like to make them feel special. I like to make them enjoy being where they are. I like to make them enjoy Pilates as an art, as a thing that they want to do every day and get better at.
Okay, that's fair. All right, this may be kind of similar, but I'm going to ask you again a little differently. If you could give one piece of advice to young athletes that may be listening to this, what would it be? Is it the same as?
Yeah, I would say.
Don't care as much about?
Yeah, don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. You're never stuck anywhere. It's never going to be your everything. Don't let it be your everything.
Okay.
Don't let it be your everything.
And then finally, to the parents that are listening, what's your advice to them, having gone through this? And they're in it right now. What do you tell them?
Let them go crazy as much as they want, but don't let them be crazy in it.
Oh, that's good. We should print shirts on that one. Don't let them go crazy. Let them go crazy, but don't let them go crazy in it. Oh my God, that's awesome. All right. Well, we made it to the end. Do you have any final thoughts on your podcast visit with me?
It was good. It was interesting talking about a lot of stuff. I'm sure I'm going to go home and say, shoot, that was my answer for that.
Too. Yeah, I will too. And I can't believe we didn't use the tissue box.
Oh, I do.
All right. Well, listen, here's what I want to tell you in closing. First of all, I'm so proud of you. Maybe this is where I'm going to need the tissues. I'm so proud of you. I've always been proud of you. You've always given your all to everything that you've done. I always said to you as a dad, which I don't think you fully understood until you became an adult, same thing for probably Madison, which is I just want to watch you do something that you love so much that when you can't do it, it actually hurts. And I think I see that now with you in Pilates. I think you had it in soccer too, but definitely for sure. And just watching you become a Pilates instructor and taking your class, it's very hard for me to focus on exercise when I'm having so much enjoyment watching you teach a class. So I'm very proud of you. Your mom is very proud of you. The other thing, and it's interesting that you bring up dance, I want to say that one of the qualities that I absolutely love about you, and you know more than what I'm going to say here, is your creativity. Your creativity played out on a soccer field. That was your superpower to me. And I think because of the limitations that you were putting on yourself with fear in particular, fear of what coaches were going to say, the fear of failure. If you tried something because you were so creative, you were doing things that were just above the norm, and if it failed, you were afraid of the failure of what you were going to get. What I would tell you, do not ever let anybody squash your creativity belief, because it is absolutely the thing that's going to continue to make you soar. When you do Pilates, the creativity that you put towards it, unbelievable. Everything that you do has so much creativity to it, and you need to understand that is absolutely one of your greatest superpowers, and I love that about you. And I want to thank you. I mean, to tell your story so that others could hear it, what your struggles were. I mean, there's probably a lot more to go into, and I hope this isn't the last time we're going to sit down and do this. I hope there'll be many more, and we can kind of go deeper into other subjects more than we are. Maybe we'll have some guests with you. Maybe, who knows, former teammates? Maybe.
Probably.
Any of you out there that want to sit down on the couch, we can bring a couch in. So I hope we do this again. So Thank you very much, and I love you very much.
Thank you.
All right. So in closing, if you found this conversation of value, share it with another parent, with another coach, an athlete. My hope is that these words don't get lost. It's an experience that has come to its end. And everything that sports journey was about, you understand now from my daughter what that meant. So check for more stories and resources at playfearless.org. And I always want to say, for all the parents that are in the thick of it or just starting out, remember, you're allowed to make bold, informed decisions for your child. You're allowed to walk away from the wrong team. You're allowed to demand a better culture, but most of all, you're allowed to trust your gut and lead your family the way that's right for you and your kids. Until next time, be valiant, play fearless.